All right, guys, so I mentioned yesterday that go ahead and look at your peers, look at people who are older than you, right? Mainly in their 60s. And this is the type 2 diabetes brotherhood. And, to make a channel, you have to do some research and recon to find out who exactly is your target audience. Who could you help the most? And in my research, just like my statement yesterday, is most men over 60 years old have pretty much given up on fighting type 2 diabetes. They've tried all the fad diets. They listen to what they have told them. Just keep taking your medications, and things just get worse. You end up on more medications, and I think people just cave in, especially after they've tried so hard, so long. I'm here to make everything simple for you guys. The weapon that you'll have of choice is the continuous glucose monitor. And as you guys can see, some of my shorts that I've made, and I'm going to show one here for you guys today, of what exactly I eat and what I do. Why exactly would I think that the continuous glucose monitor is the most powerful arsenal weapon that you can use to fight type 2 diabetes and to sort through all the misinformation? It's because what I did is no miracle. The miracle is the technology of the CGM, the continuous glucose monitor, to figure out what was spiking my blood sugar and what wasn't. So let's take a look at this video. As a recovered type 2 diabetic, I woke up this morning with the blood sugars of 91 milligrams per deciliter. This graph is the interface to my continuous glucose monitor. 10 a.m. was shredded beef, eggs, hatch chili, and a whole avocado, a multivitamin and vitamin C. This breakfast was packed with enough protein and healthy fats to help me sustain for almost the entire day. As a roofing contractor, I burned through calories more than the average man. 2 p.m. was a 50-gram protein smoothie, which gave me this weird little bump I've never had before in my life of 120 milligrams per deciliter, but that's okay because I'm still 100% time and range. 5 p.m. was my final meal of smoked burger and bacon wrap burgers with cream cheese and jalapenos. I normally don't eat vegetables, but these cucumbers, lime, and salt hit the spot, along with this apples and cinnamon with homemade whipped cream for dessert. A 30-minute walk took my blood sugars down to 89 milligrams per deciliter. This is what reversing insulin resistance looks like, my friends, and it's achievable for you as well. All right, so as you guys can see, when I do my experimentations, I'll have my breakfast, of a low carb. I pretty much fought for myself to figure out what spiked my blood sugar, what didn't. It took me months. Guys, I've been wearing a CGM since I started with type 2 diabetes back in 2023. We're about a year and a half in, if not more, longer. And as you guys can see, one of my breakfasts is beef, eggs, hatch chili, sometimes avocado if I have it. And I just basically mismatch. Like sometimes, the easiest thing for me is hamburger. I get grass-fed burger, and I'll eat about a half a pound of burger or a half a pound of shredded beef, like the video you just seen. I'll usually eat about 4 eggs, about 2 tablespoons of hatch chili, heaping tablespoons, and a whole avocado. And not to say that this is the perfect meal for you. You need to eat till you feel satiated. Don't overeat, right? But I found through studying, of observing with the continuous glucose monitor, what spiked me and what didn't. That was the biggest power, and that's how you guys can sort through the information, especially if you're a 60-year-old. Now, we're not going after 60-year-olds, right? But I'll get to that. But as you guys can see, I do a protein shake, a 50-gram protein shake. You can do a 30-gram, a 40-gram, a 50. Again, the continuous glucose monitor is going to tell you what's going on. A key I want you guys to take from here too is just because you eat lots of protein doesn't mean that you won't get sugar spikes. If you're consuming lots of protein, it will convert, to keep it simple words, to sugar in your body. Unless you're a highly active person like me. I'm a roofing contractor by trade, so I burn through calories like nobody's business when I'm on full force working, right? So I need a lot of more calories than the average human being, the average male. But you guys can see for dinner, I had bacon wrapped smoked beef hamburger with cream cheese, jalapenos. I even had myself some cucumber with lemon, lime, which is not very often. I was just craving it. But again, I had to test it out. Does it going to spike my blood sugar? The biggest culprit of all, which I think gave me a little bit of a bump, but I'm still 100% time in range, is the apples, cinnamon, and the full-fat, homemade, non-sweetened, non-sugar added whipped cream. I actually added a little bit of stevia sweetener to it to get a little bit of some tang. But this is a meal that I couldn't say that would work for every one of you. So you guys are going to be looking for me for help You say, well, Adrian, what can I eat? Because that's pretty much square one. Like, we got to start. You're on your diet, or you figure out, hey, I want to reverse type 2 diabetes. Where do I start? You know, first things first is exercise. Food. Exercise would be the second most important thing that you need to do. But nobody could really tell you what you should eat and what you shouldn't eat. There's guys out there that are eating fruit and they're not getting blood sugar spikes. I comb the forums of like the Facebook groups for type 2 diabetes channels and find that some people claim, now I don't know if they're using a continuous glucose monitor or not, there's no proof in it, but they're saying that rolled oats, oatmeal in the morning doesn't spike their blood sugars. So what works for one person may not work for another. There's no get out of jail free card. You have to use some form or fashion, some means to measure your sugars at your bodies at all times. Now the continuous glucose monitor, mine at least, updates me every 5 minutes. So it's 24/7, every 5 minutes. I get a clear view. Now if a lot of you guys can't afford CGM, the other one is a glucometer. It's basically the finger stick where you prick your finger and figure out what's going on. Now, I did an interview with Dennis Pollock from Beat Diabetes, and that's what he did in the beginning, is he just basically took his blood sugars with a finger prick about right before he ate. He waited about 30 minutes, I think, or I think he waited like an hour, then an hour and a half later. But I would recommend, if you're going to do yours this way, do it right when you eat, do it 30 minutes later, because that's usually for me, and again, this is not average, but it takes about 30 minutes for my body to digest the sugars and get an effect, right? It starts to move and get into the bloodstream, and that's when I see effects. Yours might be an hour, but it's very important that you do many tests to figure out what that time frame is going to be for you. Do it an hour later, do it an hour and a half later, and do it 2 hours later. And that's going to give you a 2-hour window of what's going on with the food that you ate. And you'll have to do basically a food elimination diet if you're going to go the low carb route. So guys, the way I like to explain this is your body represents a vehicle, and we're all driving our vehicles around. Gasoline represents the food that we put in the tank, representing our stomach. We can put all the gas we want. We'll know when we're satiated, right? Because the gas tank will be overflow. It'll tell us, so gas will start spilling out the tank if we overload it. But the problem is we're driving around. We have a steering wheel and a gas pedal, and you're driving around town. Your body representing the car, but you have no gas gauge. You don't know when you're out of food, what's going on, how full are you. More accurate, I would say, too, is a speedometer. You don't know how fast you're driving. And this represents the glucose monitor. This represents the sugar in your body. What's going on, right? You basically don't have a console in the car to tell you how much gas you have, where your battery charge is at, how fast you're driving. When you get a continuous glucose monitor, it actually gives you the dashboard of your body. Does that make sense, right? It's like you're walking around your house in the nighttime trying to navigate in the dark. And then all of a sudden somebody gives you night vision goggles and you're like, whoa, I can see now. I can see all the objects, so I stop tripping over things, right? So because we can't read everything, we can't see it in our body, we need some form of fashion. That's the simplest way that I could say will wreck all the information that's out there and pretty much annihilate it and figure out what's good for you individually. So guys, it's a business. Like if I was selling, I don't know, pencils, let's just say, right? Why would I go out and sell pencils to a bunch of 60-year-old senior citizens who just don't give a shit to draw, to do art and things like that? Whether if I went to a college and I went to sell all my pencils to a bunch of younger people who are more adept to using pencils to create art, right? Or do anything. Do you have a use of a pencil, right? It's just an example. So why would I go out to try to help people who don't want to be helped? Meaning the 60-year-old men who've pretty much given up. Not all of them. And you guys are welcome here too as well. I'm not trying to cut anybody out here. But you guys can see where I'm kind of going with this. I would devote my channel more towards men in their 40s and their 50s, because these are the men who still haven't been beaten down by what they have told them and all the failures, right? Most of them. And they're willing to make a change. So if you guys don't know anything about content creation, if I make these videos, the algorithm doesn't know who to send it to unless I niche down and zero in. And I feel like a salesman, right? Going back to the pencils. I feel like shit for leaving out 60-year-olds and targeting 40 to 50-year-olds to help, right? I feel like I'm leaving the 60-year-olds in the dark. But many of them don't care, my friends. And I think my message for you today is, do you give a shit? Do you care about yourself? Right? A lot of you guys have been beaten down. You know, calorie counting is fucking dumb. In my book, it works for some people, but how many people? How many of these calorie counting diets, these fad diets that are out there, people actually stick to? Look at the statistics when New Year's come and people's like, you know, my New Year's resolution, I'm going to lose weight. They get a gym membership and all that. They're all gung-ho for a few weeks, maybe a few months at tops, and then the whole thing just drops. That's what we have with type 2 diabetes. A lot of people are in love with the idea, but not the reality of it. I think you guys need to dig deep inside yourselves and figure out, am I willing to make this change? Am I willing to sacrifice the clown food that's out there, my way of life as I know it right now, as far as eating, exercise, your physical well-being? Maybe stop listening to all the junk that's out there and actually start figuring out shit for yourself, right? And that's why I can't say it enough. That continuous glucose monitor is the most powerful fucking weapon there is. Utilizing this with exercise, I think, and adjusting your diet on low carb. I can't talk for vegans. I'm not against veganism. So I went the low carb diet. My hypothesis is that I reversed my type 2 diabetes so fast because I gave my body a break. All right. But the thing that also a continuous glucose monitor will give you is that it'll start showing your progress. Because again, if you guys are driving around town in your car, right, in your hot rod, and you have no idea what the gas level is or how fast you're going, what your blood sugars are, then, you know, what's the point, right? But with a CGM, as you start to do exercise, as you stop to eat so much carbohydrates, changing your life around, you're going to literally see in increments of every 5 minutes, right? Updates at 24/7. And it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take a few weeks. I think just a matter of weeks, not months, to where you're going to start seeing your blood sugars lowering and lowering. And this is going to get you excited because that's the way you're going to see progress. So you don't need someone like me. I want to make myself redundant. I want you guys to take the power and control in your own hands and do what works for you. So I can sit here, guys, and tell you what not to eat and what to eat, but I'd kind of be lying to you in a way, because you're the only one that has to, you know, you're the one that has to figure that out for yourself. But I can give you some direction of things that you might want to expedite, like any kind of vegetables that grow in the ground, like beets, potatoes, sweet potatoes, carrots. Any of those type of vegetables most likely are going to spike your blood sugar. Now, will this be for everybody? No. There might be a few freak one of you, but you won't know until you monitor your blood sugars 24/7. But I would say, in order to expedite things, stay away from those vegetables, or try them out yourself. The other one is anything that's starchy, high in carbohydrates, like zucchini, beans of any kind. You know, I did spaghetti squash. When I first started, I got rid of noodles, right? So I wanted spaghetti and meatballs. I did spaghetti squash. Doesn't spike me as high as it used to now. Like, actually, I think I'm pretty much still in range. But when I first started, it took me like to the 150, 160s. So, yeah, any kind of starchy vegetable like pumpkins, squash, zucchini, those are the kind of things that you want to kind of stay away from. And again, test it out for yourself. I found that tomatoes actually spike my blood sugar if I ate too much of them. So what can you eat? Well, again, test what works for you, because nobody's created equal. Test eating leafy greens. If you're into vegetables, try some leafy greens. I don't agree with spinach and things like that, or broccoli, cauliflower too much, although I do eat them in moderation. I just don't believe in something that makes you fart like a motherfucker all day. Like, that's not normal, right? But broccoli, basically cruciferous vegetables, meaning broccoli, cauliflower, spinach, kale, those kind of things. If you want to eat those most likely won't spike your blood sugar. But again, don't take my word for it, test it out. But those are very low on the glycemic index, which means the basically sugar content, the carbohydrate content of the food. Now, should you eat fruit? If you're in your stages of reversing type 2 diabetes, guys, stay the hell away from fruit. Just for the first few weeks. This is gonna, again, if it doesn't spike your blood sugars, by all means go for it. But my hypothesis on how I reverse my type 2 diabetes, and guys, this is not medical advice. I'm not a doctor. This is for entertainment purposes only. What I did is I stayed away from anything that's sugar, anything that converts to sugar. Now, I don't believe that fructose, that sugar from fruits, is the same as table sugar. It has special vitamins, minerals, and nutrients in it. But the fact is that it contains sugar and will spike your blood sugar, right? So my hypothesis is that I stopped eating all that food, all the sugars, basically anything that spiked my blood sugar. I just stayed away from it. I gave my body, my pancreas, which is the organ in your body that produces the insulin, and that's what basically balances out your blood sugar. So my pancreas got tired from having to produce insulin all the fucking time. When I stopped eating such high carbohydrates, the pancreas didn't have to produce any insulin anymore, or maybe very little bit of it. So I was able to rest, and that's how I was able to introduce fruits and pretty much almost anything that I want back in my life in moderation without a huge sugar spike. So yeah, honey is another one that people think is healthy. So basically, just stop eating anything that spikes your blood sugars. Do this for, I'm gonna say for me, guys, it was September of 2023. I had an A1C of 6.5. My doctor finally said it's official. You're type 2 diabetic. You've been pre-diabetes for a long time, and now you finally got aboard the boat. It was in the very first week, I think, of January, when I spent $13,000 on a private doctor. They took my A1C right away and found out that I was 5.3. That means that's complete normal range, like perfect, absolutely beautiful blood sugar readings, levels of A1C. And that happened, I think, less than 3 months. So literally, if you guys strapped a continuous glucose monitor on yourself, I think that you would start to see, within a matter of 4 weeks, maybe even sooner, it's starting to go down. At the longest, 3 months of doing this specialized diet without any sugar. No, I know it's not fucking easy. It wasn't fucking easy for me. Quitting sugar was the hardest one. Quitting alcohol, that was simple. I don't know why, but I drank a 12-pack at least a day. I was one of those 30-pack Jack guys, you know what I mean? Weekends, I'd start drinking first thing in the morning. I'd be doing it now if it didn't fuck up my body. But for some reason, I know a lot of men I've met, when they said, how the fuck did you quit drinking by yourself with no support? You weren't around your family. I don't have a fucking choice. There's no family around me, right? I can make a fucking phone call, but what's my family gonna do for me? Hey, you're doing good, right? It's me. I wanted to reverse type 2 diabetes, and that's what I want for you guys, to make that mindset, right? So quitting the beer, the alcohol was very simple. Quitting the breads wasn't that hard, but when it came down to the sugar, that's when I started getting severe depression, mood swings, fatigue. I took a nap like 3 times in one day, and it was tough. But getting through that, they called it the keto flu, right? I experienced the keto flu for probably about 3 weeks. So that's what you'd expect when you quit eating sugar. But once you pop out the other side, as you guys see my short video of my body transformation, you're just gonna see fat start flying, like melting off your body, literally. But yeah, that sugar's a bitch, guys. That sugar's a bitch. There's so much to share here. I can go on for hours. There's so many fucking details. But I think what I really need to start off with next, and I want to hear from you guys what you want to hear, but if I was a doctor and someone came to me, I would say, let's not waste your fucking time or my time. Do you realize what you're going to need to do in order to make this happen for yourself? It starts with you. You have to have the mindset. You have to realize that the clown fucking food that we have been eating, and that's all around us, pretty much 90% of whatever's in the grocery stores, is all clown fucking food here to elevate your blood sugars and literally kill you. Pretty much, just in time. It's poison. So you have to change your life around, and it's not going to be easy. But the longer you do it, the easier it gets. You guys don't have to go through the 1.5 years of trial and error that I did to try to figure out what to eat and what not to eat, right? I think I can shortcut you guys really, really fast. Now, yeah, that's what I would start, was the mindset. So I know it's not sexy, I know it's not cool, but think about it. If you're only halfway in, then this is no place for you. You need to leave, right? If you don't believe in yourself, right, you need to start. If you want to really get in love with it reminds me of a lot of content creators who put themselves in front of Ferraris with chicks and money and stuff, and they want to appear successful, right? They appear happy. Do you want to appear successful? Do you want to appear happy? Do you want to appear that you've reversed type 2 diabetes, or do you want to fucking live like you've successfully done it, right? That's the case. That's the difference. Fuck aesthetics is about the functionality of things. That's my personal saying to myself for life. So as far as the continuous glucose monitor goes, I don't have a particular model that I can refer to you guys. There's cheap ones out there. There's expensive ones. The ones I bought The one I've been using since I started is the only one, and it's super expensive. I can get a link from the company, but I feel like it's too salesy. But the more and more of you guys comment, the more of you guys subscribe, and the more you guys ask me what I can do for you, and there's no charge for me, is I can literally just tell the company that I've been working with, hey, would you give my subscribers a discount, right? Or go find the cheaper ones. I don't even recommend it to any of you guys unless you got the money to use the one that I have. I'm not going to say the name of it, but there's cheaper ones like the Freestyle Libre, I think, and to give you guys a perspective too, it cost me around $6 a day to use, and the longer I subscribe, basically get my prescription of this thing, and like a 90-day supply, the cheaper it gets. It actually drops off like, I don't know, like almost by 40%. So, and this is something I think that you guys are going to want to commit. And I think committing that amount of money, $6 a day, most people would be deterred and good. I think scram, get the fuck out of here because you really don't care, right? And I mean that. Not in a bad way, just I got to sort out the people who don't want to do anything about themselves, and the people who do. People who do would know that, hey, maybe I should sacrifice my fucking morning latte and spend that, or make my lunch at home instead of spending $10, $15 on lunch the whole day, right? Get a refillable water jug like I got, take it with you, and spend $6 on a day. That's something that will transform the trajectory of the rest of your fucking life. It's your health. It's an investment in yourself. So that's my word for today. But we're just starting out, guys. If you guys believe in this shit, let me know. The way that I am gaining your trust is by showing you guys, not telling you guys, on especially my shorts that you guys have seen here today, of what exactly a diet looks like, what I eat to maintain type 2, my status of a non-diabetic anymore, and to show you guys, because everyone's telling you guys, oh, don't do this, don't do that. How about fucking showing me, right? Mr. Smarty Pants person who's telling me what I should and shouldn't do, what's your blood sugar look like? Huh? How many people have you studied on and showed what the effects are? Have you read all the information that's out there that some people are different, where shit doesn't spike them, right? For me, I'm out here in the trenches showing you guys. This is what the continuous glucose monitor looks like right here. But I'm in the trenches showing you guys, and that's how I know I'm one of you. I know that I will gain your trust because there's no place for me to fucking hide. There's no place for me to lie, because if my blood sugars go up, I look like shit. Now, some of you, as we progress with this, I'm 100% time and range. You'll see on the bottom right corner of the glucose monitor interface. That's fucking hard to do. Don't get discouraged. Don't say, oh my God, I failed. I'm not 100%. I am 100% because I have to be. I'm a show fucking pony. Would you guys buy a house from a homeless person? Probably not, right? Would you ask a fat person how to lose weight that's morbidly obese? Probably not, right? Would you trust some guy who's telling you how to reverse type 2 diabetes for men, whose blood sugar's through the fucking ceiling? Or is just kind of, okay? Or would you trust somebody who's at mostly 100% time and range? You'd probably trust somebody who's 100 time and range. I'm the Sam Sulek, the fucking barbarian, the David Goggins of fucking type 2 diabetes. I have to be this way because it makes me look good for you guys, right? So that's the reason. Don't get discouraged. Don't try to copy. I think you should aspire towards it, right? But only you know your own speed and your own dedication. But yeah, my friends, if I've got more to say, I'll come on a little bit later. Subscribe, my friends. This is I'm the man. I'm the one who's going to make this shit fucking happen for you. And you'll think you're welcome in advance.